Pradius Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of Frag Radio. Here with you today are your boys Pradius
and your boy Death from Above.
So, got a few things to talk about this week. First up will be our review for The Witcher 3. And then we also will be talking about some new Warframe updates that are coming, as well as covering the recent House of Wolves expansion on Destiny. And there's a couple other things I would have liked to have covered in this episode as well, like the new episode of Game of Thrones, which came out yesterday, and the new character Arya for Killer Instinct that came out today. But we'll probably cover those on the next episode. So, with that, first we got to get those plugs out there. Number one, Appy Gamer. Appy makes you happy. That's the big one. And then, of course, gaming news and reviews. Appy Gamer, that's on Android, iOS, Windows Store. Gaming news and reviews. That one is on Android and iOS. And then, of course, Game RSS on Android. Game On, which is on Windows Phone and iOS. And then Filter Gaming, you know, the huge. Of course, check us out on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, fragtagradio.com.
Just about everywhere.
Yep, pretty much. I think we've got all the bases covered in that regard. So, with that out of the way, The Witcher 3. So, people have been looking forward to this Witcher for a while. It's been in development for like a good 4 years or something. So, this Witcher being a little bit different than previous Witchers, and also taking the series back to its roots in a lot of ways as well. Now, I only played a little bit of the first Witcher on PC. I never actually finished it. However, I did finish The Witcher 2 when it came out on Xbox 360. And so, coming into this one, it's like night and day in a lot of different ways. So, first of all, the story. Our hero, Geralt, is, once again doing his Witcher thing, finessing the ladies. And but he's also, the game starts off where you're raising this little girl named Ciri. I'm not sure if she's like his daughter or if she's just like an adopted daughter.
Adoptive daughter.
Yeah, so you're training her, and then the Wild Hunt, which is like these like demon-looking dudes come down from the sky and take her. But of course, that's just like a dream or whatever. Sort of like a premonition almost, where he's like seeing this shit that's gonna happen in the future, even though it's taking place in the past in his dream, which is kind of weird. But so yeah, then it takes you back to present day, and you're searching for one of Geralt's lovers, Yennefer, with your boy, the old man, and y'all start making your way looking for clues to find her. And then that eventually turns into a quest looking for Ciri. Because not only does she have the powers of the Witcher from being trained by Geralt and other Witchers, she also has another special ability that no one else understands or can comprehend, and that is why the Wild Hunt, which are the demonic dudes, are interested in her. There are some scenes in the game where you actually do get to play as Ciri, which is pretty cool. She doesn't quite have as many powers, abilities as Geralt, although the ones she does have are pretty sweet. You don't exactly outfit her out and collect stuff and put armor and stuff on her like Geralt, because like I said, you only play her a few separate times for short durations. So she's not a main character, but she is a playable character in the game and has a big part to do with the story.
Okay.
That being said, in past Witcher games, especially the last one, Witcher 2, you didn't really get to spend a lot of time being a Witcher. What Witchers are is
monster hunters.
They're pretty much like mercenaries. They go around, they do good things, and they solve problems, but they only do it for cash. Or generally only for cash. So in The Witcher 2, it was pretty much most of the game involved around the main storyline, and you weren't going around doing Witcher stuff, side jobs, trying to get that dough. In this one, you can totally go off the beaten path whenever you feel like it. Pick up odd jobs. There's boards everywhere with jobs listed, and then you can pick up those jobs. And even matter of fact, when you're talking to people in the game, you can even haggle with them to try and get a higher price for the bounty. And things like that. So you spend a lot more time being an actual Witcher in The Witcher 3, which I think is pretty cool. It's kind of got the Elder Scrolls syndrome, where there's so much going on in the game, and you can pick up tons of different stuff everywhere you go. Like with this one, they've got this thing called the Witcher Vision, which you activate by holding left trigger, and when you're doing that, you use it to do some cool things like search for clues if you're investigating a scene or stuff like that. But also, it will highlight any items in the area that can be picked up, or dressers or chests that can be looted, boxes, they'll all be highlighted as well. So when you're walking around the forest, you hit that trigger, and then boom, like pretty much every bush around you is highlighted yellow grass, because you can go pick berries and all this other stuff that you need for doing like the alchemy stuff in the game. They've definitely tried to make the game more accessible with this one than the last one, because I will say that the Witcher games have always been traditionally pretty difficult. Not like Dark Souls difficult, but more like take your time difficult, and if you rush into it, you're going to die difficult. But they've made it a lot more accessible with this one, I think, because the difficulty, I mean, while it's definitely not as easy as your average game, it doesn't feel quite as challenging as past Witcher games, which is both a good and a bad thing. The combat has been completely overhauled, where this time around the combat's more like Assassin's Creed or Batman Arkham Knight, where it's all about attacking, parrying, and then you've also got your abilities in there as well, and you can set traps. Of course, and traps come in handy, especially if you know you're about to get into a big fight, and then you can set the traps early. But graphically looking, the game looks amazing. Now on Xbox One, it's dynamically changing between 900p and 1080p, depending on the circumstances, what's going on the screen, the load on the actual console. But with that being said, I can't really tell when it switches back and forth between the two. It's really indistinguishable, and I'm playing on a 55-inch 4K TV, so yeah, I mean, the difference between 900p and 1080p is negligible anyway, and arguably 720p to 1080p isn't that big of a leap either. So between 900p and 1080p, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And the game just looks gorgeous everywhere you go. The draw distance is pretty amazing. When you're standing on the top of like mountain peaks, looking out, you can see way out into the distance. And it's just really good. Like I was talking about the combat is really smooth. In addition to the parrying, you've got, of course, blocking, rolling, dodging. And then, of course, he's got the two swords, the one sword being for fighting beasts and monsters, and the other sword being for fighting humans and non-humans. There's a number of different powers, and what's pretty cool about The Witcher 3 is you actually start out with most of your powers. Now, granted, you'll be upgrading them more as you go, but they're already there at the start of the game, so you don't feel like a fragile stick or a twig at the beginning of the game. You already feel like a badass Witcher, which I think is pretty cool, especially considering Geralt's already come a long way from The Witcher 1 and The Witcher 2. Now, if I remember correctly, in The Witcher 2, you didn't start out with all your abilities. You had to kind of gain them, so it's really cool to see that they have those. If you're playing Witcher 1 and Witcher 2, you're already familiar with Igni, which is the fire ability where you can throw fire. Art ability, which is the kinetic blast, which is like some Star Wars type-ish, like so using your mind to like kinetically push someone backwards. Axii, which is mind control, and you not only useful in combat, you can use Axii to mind control people when you're having conversations with them to like get information out of them that you need. You can use Axii to put the mind control on them and get that information if they're not really or interested in talking to you. Now, granted, if they have other people around and they see you do that, they might, it could possibly start a fight, but you're Geralt, so you're going to kick that ass out of the way. Of course, and then Quinn, which is the protective shell. Whenever you cast that, it puts like a protective shell, skin tight on Geralt, which can take a little bit of damage before it busts, and then you're back to taking normal damage again. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure if Quinn actually deflects all damage. I think you still take a little bit of damage, even when Quinn is active, but it's very useful, and I found myself using Quinn probably more than any of the other abilities. And then lastly is Yurden, which is the magic trap, where you can, what I was talking about, where you can lay the traps to try and get enemies to walk into them, etc., etc. This time around, it's an open world game, and it's pretty freaking vast. So vast that Geralt has his own horse this time, who is named Roach, by the way. And you can call Roach at any time by clicking the left thumbstick twice, and wherever he is, he will come to you. So if you're on foot, you get lost, can't find him, just click that thumbstick, do that Roach call, boom, he'll come walking back. You hop on him, continue the journey. With that, there's also fast travel in the game as well. But what's cool about the fast travel is it only works for places that you've already been to before and not places that you haven't been to yet. So doing different quests, missions in the game, you'll often come to places and get a quest which will take you back to somewhere you've already been. And rather than journeying all that way on Roach or on foot, you can just fast travel back to that place. But with it only working on places that you've been, it definitely still kind of makes you want to explore places that you haven't been, to unlock new fast travel points, meet new people, check on new areas, unlock new quests, find new treasure. There's just so much to do in The Witcher 3. Side diversions, you've also got Ghent, which is almost like the Hearthstone game, or like a version of Magic the Gathering card game. It's pretty cool, actually. I like it a lot better than the previous little bar games they had in the previous Witcher games. Ghent is really awesome in The Witcher 3. Definitely a big improvement over what we've had before in the past. Let's see, I mentioned the Witcher Vision. That's pretty awesome, where you can use that. Sometimes you'll be doing like detective type work, and you can use your Witcher Vision to kind of look around the scene and analyze clues like blood marks, broken twigs, anything that relates to a crime scene that you're currently investigating. Boss battles are pretty freaking amazing. That being said, whenever you know you're about to have a boss battle, please do prepare, because if you go in there with no health potions or low health potions and you don't got all your stuff, your bombs ready, your traps, it's not going to be a good battle. Always save before a boss battle. Always go into boss battles prepared, because they can get pretty grueling at times. Grand total, I think it took me about 60, 70 hours going through. That being said, if you try and do every single quest in the game, you could spend upwards of 200 hours, or you could probably speed run through it in about 40 to 50. So I haven't done every single side quest. I mainly did a little bit here and there, went back to main story quests. I will say that it's a good idea to do a good number of story quests and get them out of the way. And then once you start getting about halfway through the game, or maybe even closer to the end, then start doing all of the side quests, because doing the main story quests is the best way to level up Geralt to higher levels, which will make him more powerful for doing the side quests.
Okay.
The crafting system is pretty awesome. Like I said, you're constantly getting collecting things as you make your way around the world. You can craft weapons, armor, potions. It's a pretty deep crafting system. It actually took me a little bit of time to grasp the whole thing. It's just kind of overwhelming at first. And then, but you can also buy the materials that you need if you can't find them in the nearby forest or whatever. Most vendors will sell what you need the majority of the time, but sometimes there'll be a quest related, like fetch quest thing, where you have to go find like blackberries or this seaweed at the bottom of the ocean or whatever that'll send you on it, and no matter what, you're just going to have to go find it and to complete the mission. That being said, I think CD Projekt has done a really good job of making it not feel like every quest is a fetch quest or a kill these enemies quest. The quests feel very varied, and I think the game is just overall very well done. You can tell there was a lot of passion, a lot of polish put into The Witcher 3, and it's just an amazing game. So with that, I'm going to say a verdict of a solid 5 frags. It's just terrific. I really don't see how it could be any better. It's just a great, perfection. Great masterpiece. CD Projekt should be commended. So, Kev, you've played a little bit of The Witcher 3. What are your impressions so far?
Well, this is the first Witcher game that I've played, and from being the open world, the type of game it is, the first game that I try to contrast it with is Skyrim. And it has its similarities, but it's way different. Like you said, with the fighting, where in Skyrim you can go to third person or first person, where this one is strictly third person. And took me a while, still learning. I haven't gotten much. I'm still getting ready. I know I'm getting ready to fight the first boss. I'm close to fighting the first boss, but I like the game. Like I know that when I sit down and actually play it some more, I'm gonna find myself. It's gonna be my new crack because it's a really fun game. Like you mentioned the swords. I like that. I was worried that was gonna be a big bother remembering which sword is for what, but they make it flawless for you. Press right, you get your silver sword. You press left, you get your steel sword. And you mentioned what those abilities are, the differences are for. I'm not gonna give it a grade yet because I haven't played it nowhere near as much as you have. But from what I play, it's up there in high frags. So
Definitely. All right. So with that, to move on to Warframe, there's a lot of stuff up and coming for Warframe, and we've been talking about Warframe pretty much every show for the last, I don't know, however many shows, and I'll probably continue to be talking about it. This time I wanted to do more of an update thing and talk about some of the things that are on the horizon. Of course, we've got 16.5 coming to console soon. Hopefully they'll be putting that to certification, and we'll see that on console soon. We just had the Den of the Kubro event, which could net you the Strun Wraith shotgun, as well as a Bite mod and a Stratos emblem. That was a pretty cool event. More of like a mini event, not as big as like one of the Operation events, but definitely pretty cool. And then of course we recently just had that 2-for-1 sale on there, where all the Dragon mod packs were 2-for-1, the potatoes, the cells, 2-for-1. But up and coming, we got Parkour 2.0, which we first kind of started seeing and hearing about at the Tenno Live event. And they've completely redoing the parkour to where when you're running along a wall, you can stop, hang on the wall, or even switch directions and start going back the other way while you're still on the wall. Or with the zip lines, you can jump from one zip line to another, or stop on a zip line and shoot enemies from the zip line. Really just changing up the movement, and I think it's going to make Warframe feel completely different in a lot of ways when it comes. Also, the new star chart. Now, this is kind of like a controversial thing, especially with me. So, they've been talking about redoing the star chart to the point where it's only going to have like 25, 30 nodes. So, pretty much all the nodes on all the planets, they're going to be taking the majority of those out of the game. Okay. And lowering it down to a smaller number of nodes. And these nodes will be changing every day, supposedly, and you won't be able to just go fight any boss anytime you want. It'll be like, today, this boss was seen so-and-so, and then you can go to that node and fight that boss. Or tomorrow it might be Tal Regor over here, and then you can go, but you won't be able to just go wherever you want, whenever you want, like it is now. And I kind of find that, I think it's going to be a mistake. Really not that stoked about the new star chart, gotta be honest. But we'll see. Hopefully, if it does come out and the fans aren't happy with it, Digital Extremes will put it back to the way it was. I definitely have seen in my time dealing with Warframe, playing Warframe, talking with Digital Extremes, that they do a really good job of listening to their fans. So I think if this new star chart comes out and it's not what's up, then they will definitely you know, probably put it back to the way it was or try something different or whatever. Excalibur. A lot of people have always joked on Excalibur's super jump ability about how it's pretty much useless. And so they've been talking about doing redoing Excalibur for a while, and of course, so now they started talking about what that's going to be. So in place of the super jump ability, they're replacing that with this new ability where Excalibur will draw a sword, sort of like how Mesa has those two pistols that she pulls out whenever she goes into the Peacemaker ability.
Right.
With Excalibur, he'll pull out a sword, and then you can just like go ape shit on the enemies with the sword, which is of course the Excalibur sword. Only makes sense him being called Excalibur. And I think that's pretty cool. From what I've seen, it looks similar to Valkyrie when she like whips out her like Wolverine
Claws, yeah.
claws and starts, and you can like go berserk on the enemies. Pretty similar to that. That definitely looks pretty awesome. They're redesigning some of the bosses. They got one that almost looks like a giant jukebox. Some of them are very interesting looking, but needless to say, they're very creative, and I'm interested to see how they change up the tactics of the bosses and how this affects the boss fights in general and not just how they look. I think that's going to be pretty sweet. Right. The Sea Lab tile set where you're like underwater and like this lab underwater, like on some BioShock type ish. They've been showing that off in recent dev streams. Looks terrific. I can't wait to check out the Sea Lab tile set. It just looks amazing. Okay. If you haven't had a chance, please do check out one of the recent dev streams, and I'm sure you'll be able to see it on there. It's just awesome looking. Now they're also bringing back some of the older competitive maps back to Conclave. They took some of them out when they redid it for the PvP 2.0 and are slowly bringing things back. So some of the older maps are coming back, and they're also, right now it was just or is just Cephalon Capture on consoles, but they're also bringing Annihilation and Team Annihilation, which is pretty much like, you know how Kill Confirmed is in Call of Duty, where when you kill somebody, they drop their dog tags, and to score the kill, you have to go pick up the dog tags. Or if someone kills you, someone on your team can pick up your dog tag to deny them that kill or whatever. So it's pretty much the same concept here with Annihilation and Team Annihilation, one just being free-for-all and one being team-based. So except instead of dog tags, it's going to be like these floating orbs. And once you kill your opponent, that orb will slowly start floating towards you. But you still are going to have to make your way to it, and someone from the opposing team can obviously try and nab that before you do, and deny you up that. Now, hopefully, like I said, the raid will finally be coming to consoles soon. I really hope they push that through certification. And then there are also some new weapons coming as well, which they showed off in a recent video. One being a new melee weapon called the Boltus, which are like these dual like arm swords, almost look like some Klingon batleths or something. Pretty sweet looking weapons. And then also a new bow and arrow called the Daiku. Or the Daikyu, or I don't know how you pronounce that, but it's a pretty sweet looking bow and arrow. I'm not a huge fan of bow and arrows, but I'll definitely be checking it out. And the last one is like a handheld flamethrower called the Atmos. I guess it would be like a secondary weapon where it's just a one-handed flamethrower. Definitely looks pretty sweet, so you can look forward to those in the upcoming future as well. That being said, I'm really looking forward to having Operation False Prophet come to consoles. That's already been on PC. We really need to have that on consoles because I'm looking forward to checking out the Quantum Vandal. I had the Mutilus Quanta and the regular Quanta, so being able to add the Quantum Vandal to my collection is going to be pretty great. Right. You're still playing Warframe as well, Kev. How's that been going for you?
Locking frames and leveling them up, trying to get some weapons and some exclusive mods just like you. Warframe is fun, especially when you're playing with friends, because you just go into the void and just have a blast and just farming and stuff like that. It's a fun game. I love it. Like I said, between that, The Witcher, and Destiny, the three games we're talking about today, those are pretty much my gaming hobbies right now. Until next month. That's for a different time.
Yeah, it's definitely definitely been keeping us busy. And I'm sure this week it'll be no different. Tons of stuff going on. Um, so speaking of Destiny,
The
let's
House
go
of
ahead and just
Wolves.
make our way through the different things. So first of all would be the new story missions and the new strike missions. So I don't know if you want to run us through the story of what's going on with Skolas.
Pretty much Skolas, um the House of Wolves, which we know that they betrayed the rest of the Fallen. So Skolas, who's the leader of the House of Wolves, he wants to be what's known as the Kell of Kells, I guess the god of gods, the gods of the Fallen. And he's trying to steal the technology from the Vex and incorporate it with Fallen technology to make his house superior. And he does, like, he's doing a pretty good job of it because we see some aspects from the Vex, especially the Vault of Glass, into fallen territory. So where we venture back into the Vault of Glass, and we see new locations of places we've been already, which is the downfall. We wanted to see brand new locations, but it's pretty cool. Like, um, how they stole like the teleporting pads. You have to run through that with Fallen, and we have some new stuff, the PvP stuff, which is skipping my mind. Bad with this. What's it called, Pradius?
The Trials of Cyrus.
Oh, Trials of Cyrus. I hate PvP, and the Trials of Osiris really makes me hate PvP because it is so fast. You can die or win so quickly. Um, Pretty much, you need to get 9 wins or 3 losses, whichever comes first. And depending on how well you do with your win-loss ratio, will put you in a tier of a reward you can get. The PvP new aspect, instead of a raid, which everyone was disappointed about, we have the why am I pulling a blank? And I'm getting ready to run this. Is a 3-man raid. Basically, we go into it and what's it called, Raiders?
Prison
Um,
of Elders.
Prison of Elders. That is a new aspect on raid mode. Basically the raid mode. We go in there, you fight away 3 waves of enemies for 5 rounds, which the hardest difficulty, which is level 35, is 6 rounds, where you get a boss and it changes every week. Um, like last week, I was able to go through each level. This week is intense. It is hard. Um, Going there with your this week void weapons and arc weapons. It is crazy. Pretty much the the PvE stuff. I actually like going in there, getting because this one is definitely co-op where you need each class. Where dismantling mines, you need a hunter to cloak and go dismantle mines, so he's not taking shots. Where you get towards the end of a round and everybody gets killed, you need your warlock to self revive. And Titan is high in demand around because now you need that. You need his bubble, either armor of light or weapons of light. You need him. He is high in demand. All you see is Titan needed on LFG. Um, that being said, with this new raidish stuff, new weapons, which I have not seen yet, other than the legendary. I haven't seen the exotic stuff yet, other than the helmet that I got for my hunter. That instead of 3 shots, it gives me a single shot, but it's 6 times as powerful. And the boots that gives, no matter what you have, it gives you a triple jump. So you can have a triple jump with your um, art class. Um, and there's one more that for the hunter, the gauntlets that automatically makes you go invisible by crouching. Um, and it does when you do melee damage to an enemy, it does overall, like, the damage lasts for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. I'm not sure the count because I don't have those gauntlets yet, but it's pretty good. I give it a 4. Four
So there's
frags.
also a new social space, the Vestian
Oh,
Outpost.
yes. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that's at the reef. The reef has been the queen opened up the reef to you because of the fallen that has betrayed her. So she opened it up to all the guardians to come in there. That's where you go get your bounties from Petra. You get your prisoner elders rewards from his name is slipping my
Barracks.
mind. Barracks, and you have your trials of Osiris. You go see that elder. He gives you your rewards, or you can buy boons from him. Which one boon will your first win it counted as two. Another boon automatically gives you a win, and the second one is it forgives your first loss, and those can be helpful because if you go 9-0, you get to go to another. You are granted the reward of going to Mercury social aspect known as the Lighthouse, where you're giving even better rewards. Like from what I've heard, they've gotten three etheric lights, which etheric light is used to level up your legendary gear and any old legendary weapon or armor. So you have the potential to bring your Vault of gear up to level 34. Any gear that you like, mix match it however you want. So that way each person could be different and not looking the same after doing a raid, and everybody's wearing the same gear, which is pretty good because I had different pieces which gave different perks that I liked. One of the best things that I like is the new weapons, the new legendary weapons. You can re-roll them, you can reforge them. So if you don't like the perks that are on it, like I had a sniper, no, I had a scout rifle that I reforged it, and now I have it fires an automatic, it gives explosive rounds, and it has Firefly, where if you do a critical hit and you kill the enemy, it explodes and does damage to any enemy around them. So it's pretty awesome. Like I said, I give it a 4. I didn't give it higher because we didn't see new areas. We just pretty much they rehash areas we've been in already. We didn't see nothing new. One of the biggest things I have is now when you do the Prison of Elders at the end, you get 3 chests. 2 smaller chests that you can open up, and a larger chest which you need a key for. Not a problem. Problem is getting these keys. You go through the story, you're granted a key automatically, 1 per character. After that, all the keys are in RNG, where you can do bounties the following week, and she can grant you a key. You can do this thing where you go to like where I go is to the Cosmodrome, and you can farm keys. Basically, you look for when this thing called the Wolf Pack. That's what I call them, the Wolf Pack. They come and they drop from the ship, and you basically kill the wave of enemies. Then at the last point, you get a yellow boss. You kill him, and then you're given an etheric key. This key allows you to open up a chest, and the chest can give you blue items, legendary items, and the treasure key, which the treasure key is used to open up the last chest in the Prison of Elders, the larger chest. Farming these keys can be a pain where you can farm for 4 or 5 hours and only get 1 key, which can pretty much suck if you have 3 characters and you want to run all levels 28, 32, 34, and 35. They give it to Pradius, let him give us what he thinks.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything, or most. Well, there's also in the Trials of Cyrus, if you get a perfect 9 matches in a row, you get to visit the Lighthouse, which is like this long hallway with like guardian statues, and then at the end there's this giant treasure chest, which is even bigger than the big chest at the end of the Prison of Elders. You've actually got to jump on top of the thing to open it. And then once you open it, you'll get like an exotic or whatever, which is reward for getting a perfect 9 matches in the Trials of Osiris when that's going on. And then also the new strike mission where you're fighting Taniks.
Yes.
That was a pretty cool strike mission.
Yeah, I like that fight.
Definitely better than the last strike mission that we got, I
Oh
think.
my gosh, that was a nightmare. Bungie, if you're listening to this, and I hope you are, one of the biggest thing I've been hearing in the community is that when you open up these chests, I'm trying to get these keys, you're given synthesis, whether it's heavy or special. you farm for a while, a couple of hours, your synthesis adds up. We don't have room for it in the vault. We don't have room for it on our characters. So if you're given a key, then it's pretty much going to be held in the postmaster until you're able to make room. Give us a way of destroying just about anything that we have, where these synthesis you can only use, and it takes 5 minutes until you can use the next one. So if you have like 20 synthesis and you have 5 slots of them, there's no way you're gonna be able to delete all of these. Give us an option of breaking down these things because we have too much of it. We don't want it.
Right. That makes sense. But yeah, I think that covers, like I said, just about everything. We went through The Witcher 3, Warframe, Destiny, Prison of Elders. I would say it's probably a solid 4 frags as far as DLCs go.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a lot better than the last DLC that we had for Destiny.
Yes,
I am
sir.
still a little bit disappointed that we don't have a new raid, but the Prison of Elders is still pretty good as well. So I'll take what I can get, and with that, I do believe it's been a pretty great episode, and we'll be coming at y'all again the following weekend. So stay tuned to your boys right here in Frag Tag Radio.
Peace.
Frag Radio.